Saudi Arabia has become the world's laboratory for futuristic construction. From the Jeddah Tower, a 1-kilometer-high needle piercing the clouds, to the Line, a 170-kilometer-long linear city carved into the desert. Now, the kingdom has unveiled its most audacious mega-project yet, a cube so vast it could swallow 20 Empire State Buildings. That's the Mukaab. You're watching MegaConstructs, and today we shall explore how Saudi Arabia plans to build the largest building in the world, the Mukaab. Let's start the journey. The cube that broke scale. First, there was the Line, a 170-kilometer-long city in the desert. Then Oxygen, a floating industrial port. Then Trojena, a mountain ski resort in one of the hottest places on Earth. But earlier this year, Saudi Arabia unveiled something entirely different. Something so simple in shape, yet so insane in scale that it makes everything before it look small. I'm talking about the Mukaab, a cube, 400 meters high, 400 meters wide, 400 meters deep. That's not a building. That's a mountain of concrete, steel, and ambition, parked right in the middle of Riyadh. To put this into perspective, the Mukaab is large enough to swallow 20 Empire State Buildings and still have room left over. If you stack those 20 skyscrapers side by side, the cube would cover them all like a glass and gold blanket. It would hold the entire floor area of over 2 million square meters, equivalent to 280 football pitches squeezed into one volume. And if the numbers alone don't blow your mind, wait until you hear what's inside. Inside this cube, there will be a swirling spiral tower wrapped in holographic screens, virtual worlds that can turn a desert afternoon into a Martian sunrise, rooftop gardens floating 400 meters above the traffic, and an underground transport system that makes a 15-minute city feel almost too small. In short, the Mukaab is not just a building. It is a vertical metropolis wrapped inside a cube. But here's the question everyone is asking. Will it actually get built? Why a cube? The Mukaab is the crown jewel of New Murabba, a brand new downtown district planned for northwest Riyadh. Spanning 19 square kilometers, this district alone is meant to become the world's largest modern downtown, housing over 100,000 residential units, 9,000 hotel rooms, and millions of square meters of office, retail, and leisure space. At its very center, visible from everywhere, sits the cube. From an architectural standpoint, a cube might seem unimaginative, but there is a method to the madness. The designers argue that a perfect geometric cube is the most asterisk-efficient asterisk shape for accommodating all the advanced technology needed to power the building's immersive experiences. The space between the outer shell and the inner dome will hide miles of cabling, cooling systems, projectors, and holographic emitters. The four corners of the cube will house 3 75-meter-tall towers, 2 for residential use and 2 mixed use, that help distribute the structural load and anchor the massive roof above. But there is also a more symbolic reason. Saudi Arabia wants Riyadh to have its own instantly recognizable global icon, an Eiffel Tower for the 21st century. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the driving force behind the country's Vision 2030, put it this way: a capital city the size of Riyadh deserves a landmark that makes people stop and stare. The cube, with its stark, uncompromising geometry, certainly does that. However, the shape has also created controversy. Some Muslim commentators have pointed out that the Mukaab's cubic form bears a resemblance to the Kaaba in Mecca, Islam's holiest site. Others dismiss the comparison, noting that many cube-shaped buildings exist around the world. But the debate highlights just how sensitive megaprojects can become when they touch on culture and religion. Let's dig deeper into the scale of the Mukaab, because it genuinely is hard to wrap your head around. Height, 400 meters. That's taller than the Eiffel Tower. If you placed it in Dubai, it would be the 4th tallest building in the city. Width and depth, also 400 meters. That means the cube is just as wide as it is tall. Most skyscrapers taper as they rise. This one stays blocky all the way up. Total volume, 64 million cubic meters. Enough to enclose 20 Empire State Buildings or roughly 2,000 Olympic swimming pools. The exterior facade is not just a simple glass wall. It is inspired by Najdi architecture, a traditional Saudi style that uses intricate triangular patterns. The designers have reinterpreted these patterns as a layered, latticed surface that shimmers with a golden hue. Depending on the light, the building can look like a solid gold monolith or an interlocking mesh of shadows. Inside, the most striking feature is the spiral tower. This inner structure rises from the ground floor almost to the top of the dome, wrapped in a double helix design reminiscent of a DNA strand. This tower will contain luxury hotels, restaurants, observation decks, and possibly even a vertical garden running through its core. Around it, the vast interior will be divided into themed zones: retail promenades, cultural pavilions, residential clusters, and entertainment districts, all stacked vertically within the cube's cavernous shell. The designers call it a downtown in a box. And that is not far from the truth. The Mukaab is designed to be a completely self-contained urban environment where residents and visitors can live, work, shop, and be entertained without ever stepping outside. The groundwork, digging a hole from mountain. Before a single block of the Mukaab could rise, workers had to dig, and dig, and dig. The foundation of the Mukaab is a raft foundation, a massive slab of reinforced concrete that spreads the building's weight across a huge area. Because the cube will be so heavy, estimates put the total structural weight at over 3 million tons. The ground beneath it must be extremely stable. That meant removing millions of cubic meters of earth until they hit solid bedrock. According to project updates, early work saw over 10 million cubic meters of earth excavated, which is enough to fill about 4,000 Olympic swimming pools. To put that into perspective, that is roughly 10 times the volume of the Great Pyramid of Giza. All that soil and rock was moved away from the site, processed, and in many cases recycled back into construction materials. At the peak of excavation, around 250 excavators and 400 other pieces of heavy equipment were working on site daily, with a workforce of roughly 900 laborers on site at any one time. To reduce congestion on public roads, the development company built a temporary bridge over King-Coloured Road. This one bridge alone eliminated approximately 800,000 heavy truck movements from city streets, saving time, reducing pollution, and improving safety for everyone around the site. As of early 2025, the excavation was 86% complete, a major milestone that proved the project was not just a collection of shiny renderings. The dirt was moving. The hole was being dug. The Mukaab was, for a while at least, becoming real. The new Murabba District. The Mukaab does not stand alone. It is the centerpiece of New Murabba, an entirely new downtown district that Saudi Arabia hopes will redefine urban living. The district covers roughly 19 square kilometers, located at the intersection of King Salman and King-Coloured Roads to the northwest of Riyadh. At full build-out, New Murabba will offer more than 25 million square meters of floor area. That is equivalent to roughly 3,500 football pitches of enclosed space. It will include over 104,000 residential units of various sizes and price points, 9,000 hotel rooms, ranging from budget to ultra-luxury, 980,000 square meters of retail, shops, department stores, market halls, 1.4 million square meters of office space, 620,000 square meters of leisure assets, cinemas, sports facilities, exhibition halls, 1.8 million square meters of community facilities, schools, clinics, libraries, places of worship. The master plan is built around the concept of a 15-minute city. That means from any home or workplace, a resident should be able to reach all essential amenities, groceries, healthcare, schools, parks, public transport, within a quarter of an hour of walking or cycling. The district will also have its own internal transit system, integrated with Riyadh's wider metro network. Green space is a major priority. 25% of New Murabba will be dedicated to parks, walkways, and planted areas, an ambitious target for a desert city. The district is also aiming for a 35% reduction in carbon emissions compared to traditional urban centres, using a combination of district cooling, electric transport, renewable energy, and low-carbon construction materials. In many ways, New Murabba is a testbed for the kind of hyper-connected, sustainable urbanism that many cities only talk about. And at its centre, the Mukaab is the shiny engine driving the whole vision. Conclusion: will the cube rise? The Mukaab is a paradox. It is the most ambitious building ever proposed, and at the same time one of the most uncertain. It is grounded in the solid geometry of a cube, yet floats on the vaporware of holographic dreams. It is a product of oil wealth, yet aspires to a post-oil future of tourism and technology. For every piece of evidence that the Mukaab is dead, the suspension headlines, the shifting priorities of the Saudi Public Investment Fund, the technological impossibilities, there is counter-evidence that it is merely resting. The contracts are still being signed. The consultants are still being paid. The vision is still being promoted. In the end, the Mukaab's fate depends on three things: money, technology, and political will. If Saudi Arabia can find the private investment to share the burden, the money problem becomes manageable. If the holographic and LED industries continue their rapid advance, the technology problem becomes solvable. And if Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman remains committed to the cube as a symbol of his reign, the political will problem disappears. But the Mukaab was never a safe bet. It was always a long shot, a $50 billion gamble on a shape so simple that it seemed impossible, and so insane that it just might work. Whether the cube rises or remains a hole in the ground, one thing is certain: Saudi Arabia has already changed the conversation about what a building can be. And that, perhaps, is the point. Thank you for watching MegaConstructs. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Mukaab, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Do you think the cube will ever be completed? Or will it join the long list of ambitious projects that never saw the light of day? Let me know in the comments below. I'll see you in the next video.